In many ways, Ron DeSantis, the Republican governor of Florida and floundering presidential candidate, had a very bad night at the first Republican primary debate. But before we unpack all that, if you haven't yet, please hit that like, subscribe, and the alert bell. Maybe check out my Patreon. I'd appreciate the support. All right, so we are piecemeal, slowly but surely, unpacking the Republican Party's first primary debate. And it was, in many ways, just an absolute train wreck, right? I mean, you would get whiplash, right? Just seeing it in action. It was replete with lies and weird moments and strange bickering. And actually, in a way, if you don't mind secondhand embarrassment and, cringe reality TV is something that not only doesn't bother you, but you actively enjoy it, then you might enjoy this. I enjoyed some parts of it, but other times, even I, a vociferous opponent of the modern day Republican Party and a stalwart critic of the Republican Party, it was hard to watch. It was hard to watch. The embarrassment I felt actually eclipsed the schadenfreude that I felt for so many of the candidates up there. And Ron DeSantis, Meatball Ron DeSanctimonious, in many ways, he was supposed to be the primary target, right? Because he is still, in aggregate, the second highest polling person in the Republican race. I mean, it's not saying much anymore. He's closer to the bottom 5 or 6 than he is to Donald Trump, it seems like at this point. We've talked about before in many ways, and in some ways, Ron DeSantis is kind of effective. I mean, in terms of being a culture warrior, he's good at that, right? And he certainly enjoyed, at one point, a pretty impressive hype machine. But his abilities as a debater, number one, have always been questionable. I mean, I can't remember who his opponent was in 2018, but Charlie Crist was his opponent in 2022, and he ran circles around DeSantis in 2022. And so anyway, he lacks many of Trump's best qualities, right? In terms of, and when I say best qualities, I mean in terms of being a debate performer, right? Trump is not very educated on politics. He's not up to date on the substance. He knows very little. He's dangerously, stupidly ignorant and uncurious, unlike DeSantis. But Trump compensates. He compensates for that with almost like an asymmetrical warfare of just completely throwing the opposition off with like outbursts and talking over them and one-liners and things like that. Ron DeSantis lacks that charisma and that capacity for like asymmetric rhetorical warfare. So without further ado, I want to play a couple of clips here, which are profound. These are the moments that I enjoyed because they are profoundly embarrassing for Ron DeSantis. We're going to start with this one. Enjoy.
We will get the job done, and I will not let you down.
Okay. All right. So this is like the end of his opening statement, but I want you to note again the smile, okay? Right? Watch it again. It's so funny. I'm sorry. It's the funniest thing. But it's because he's an android, right? I mean, he's a malfunctioning robot. C-3PO has more game than Ron DeSantis. Here's another funny moment in which it's into the debate at this point. And I guess Vivek Ramaswamy had just spoken, and then Brett Baer, one of the Fox News moderators, is trying to get DeSantis' attention because he has okay, it's your turn, Governor DeSantis, for a response. So watch this and enjoy.
Thank you. Governor DeSantis. Governor?
This is our time for choosing. We will.
So again, that's too funny. Hang on. I can't. I don't know why.
Governor? This is our time for.
They had to ask him twice. Governor? Yeah. It just, again, malfunctioning. There was like some sort of like software reboot or software update that he was in the middle of at the time. But this is the best one. Okay. Brace yourselves. So you know how Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSanctimonious. You know how he has been trying to walk this weird tightrope, even though at one time he was the closest rival to Trump, and he has certainly earned Trump's ire because Trump perceives him as disloyal. But DeSantis is too much of a coward to try to actually criticize or confront or challenge Trump in any meaningful way. I don't know what the hell his strategy is, but whatever. So When the Fox moderators are asking the panelists to address Trump, they refer to him as the elephant in the room. At one point, DeSantis, either performatively or genuinely, loses his temper and he challenges the moderators, like, "Why are you asking us about this man who's not here? Let's talk policy." Which on paper, by the way, great idea. I love policy. Policy is infinitely more important and meaningful to the day-to-day lives of your constituents than culture war issues. But I have to note two things. The irony of Ron freaking DeSantis wanting to talk about policy when Ron DeSantis never wants to talk about policy. It's always about Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light. They gave a Bud Light to a trans person. We need to make that our focus. Oh my God, green M&Ms are wearing sneakers instead of heels. Gas stoves. Gas stoves, by the way, the vast majority of Floridians don't use them, but we have to make everything about gas stoves and give them a rebate in order to incentivize the purchase of gas stoves to own the libs, and et cetera and so forth. His war against Disney, all the things. Ron DeSantis does not want to deal with policy ever, except now, because he'd rather talk policy than talk about Donald Trump and put him in a position to either be obsequious or to challenge Trump in any meaningful way. So anyway, with that said, he gets really upset with the Fox moderators. And apparently it rubs one of the Fox moderators, Bret Baier, the wrong way too. And so this is what Bret Baier has to say in response to DeSantis.
Let me just say, Governor DeSantis, we spent an hour talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you by 30, 40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor, let me...
Ooh, snap. That's funny. That's funny. Where Bret Baier's like, listen, we've talked about policy for an hour, but this guy's kicking her. And so that's relevant, right? Because he's beating you by 20 or 40 points. And then to hear the crowd applaud and cheer for a man who's not even there, that's embarrassing. I wish it would have cut back to DeSantis's face just so we could have seen the tick, the facial tick as the Android hardware begins to malfunction. But anyway, that's hilarious to me. Those were some of the best moments of the Republican primary debate, and ironically, some of the most substantive parts. So I definitely encourage you to check it out. We'll probably be doing additional videos on them over the next couple of days because, like I said, if I just release like Republican primary debate videos, we'd probably be here for like 3 weeks. But I'm sure you'll see more of it from me in the next couple of days.